Hello and welcome to Health Talk. I'm Dr. Manny. Science has made it easier for women to start their families later in life. But waiting to have a baby can come with risk. Joining me now is Dr. Abdullah Alkan, Director of the Center for Abnormal Placentation at Hackensack University Medical Center in New Jersey. And to me, one of the finest obstetricians in the country, or high-risk obstetrician, I should say. So welcome, Doc.
Thank you.
All right, let's because I want to go through a whole list real quick. Age. More women are getting older and having babies. I'm talking about not the 35, but surely people in their 40s, IVF, egg donors, you name it. So now you find a whole group of women in their 40s. Does age matter by itself when it comes to placing a woman at high risk? Because that's a common question. Oh, I'm 39, I'm high risk.
Absolutely. I think in the past, when I was in training, and of course, you doing this more than I have, age was a big risk factor.
Right.
And I think the thing that we always used to focus on is age and chromosomal abnormalities, advanced maternal age. But I think that is no longer an issue because we have modern technology and the science of picking those things up.
Right.
I think the challenges with the advanced maternal age is not really the true chromosomal abnormality, is the underlying disorders that they will have as we age naturally. So when the patient is in her 40s, late 40s, and she's pregnant, she most likely will have hypertension or perhaps diabetes or perhaps obesity or perhaps lupus. All of these are conditions that evolve as we get older.
What's the deal with having a heart condition and being pregnant?
Well, clearly, you know, the heart is is a pivotal organ that we depend on, and its cessation is the end of us. If you have an underlying cardiac condition, the stress of pregnancy, the physiologic changes, the heart has to pump 50% more volume if you're pregnant with one baby, 80% more with twins. So clearly there's going to be a lot of workload on the heart. So the patient is pregnant. She has underlying heart condition, the likelihood of having worsening of her symptom or disease is going to be there, and we have to be very cautious with those individuals.
Why are we seeing more diabetes, and how is diabetes dangerous in a pregnant woman?
Well, multiple folds. One of the biggest issues that we have right here in our country here is obesity.
Right.
And it's a huge problem. In fact, I read an article that 30 to 40% of Americans are obese.
Right.
So along with that comes diabetes. Now, multiple issues with diabetes. Number one, mothers who are diabetic, their offsprings have a higher chance of being diabetic. And if they're obese, obesity is a huge problem. Fetal cardiac anomalies. Larger babies, higher incidence of cesarean section. We're seeing a pandemia of cesarean section across the world, but of course all of these medical conditions are adding more towards the higher incidence of C-section. So diabetes itself poses lots of complication for the pregnant mother and her unborn fetus.
Autoimmune diseases, lupus, for instance, being one of the very popular ones that we see in pregnancy. What's the deal with lupus in pregnant women?
Well, mothers who have lupus, it depends what organ system the lupus has affected. So if they have lupus and their kidneys are affected, I think they have higher risk of complication of preterm labor, preterm delivery, preeclampsia, which is high blood pressure and protein, spillage of protein and growth restriction. So that's number one. Another aspect of it is if they have underlying lupus, sometimes some of these antibodies that are formed can cross the placenta and can cause cardiac abnormalities in the baby, and usually it's cardiac dysrhythmias, which is a huge problem in babies who are born to mothers with underlying lupus.
We see more patients that are transplant patients successfully and then getting pregnant, and as well as cancer survivors, people that have had cancers, chemo, radiation, and now they're cancer-free after 5 years, and now they want to have a baby. Those two groups have unique challenges. Tell me some of them, and should women with these types of conditions be discouraged to have children?
You know, very sensitive subject in terms of when you look at a patient and tell her, look, you can get pregnant. I think she has to be adequately counseled, and she has to make a decision after being counseled adequately in terms of what are the implications or what are the complications of pregnancy and undergoing transplant, whether it's, most of the time we do see the kidney transplants,
right.
But if you see the cardiac transplant, that's, to me, quite frankly, in my limited experience is an absolute contraindication for pregnancy.
Right.
But I think the renal transplant, the pancreatic transplant patients could get pregnant as long as they're thoroughly counseled, they understand the implications, mostly to them,
Right.
as opposed to the fetus.
Right. Because the organs are going to be the ones that are going to be overworked.
Absolutely. And we do see mothers who come to us with renal transplant. If they're not closely monitored, they have a high chance of rejection.
Right.
And now she has to go back on dialysis, on a wait list again for transplant. And I think these are things that she should be informed, and she should make a rational decision, a good choice, and that depends upon whether she has kids or not. And of course, what family does not want to have children? But I think all of these should be put into the equation.
And the same thing might hold true for, let's say, cancer patients, but that are out 5 years. You would recommend that they be out 5 years cancer-free?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. 5 years cancer-free, and I think they should be reassessed in terms of what's happening, if there's any evidence of metastases, what type of cancer they have, because some cancers could exacerbate during pregnancy.
Right.
And there's the whole controversy with breast cancer, especially in those who have not undergone bilateral mastectomies, if they underwent just a lumpectomy, if they have residual disease and they're estrogen progesterone receptor positive, perhaps there is a theoretical chance that they may exacerbate during pregnancy.
All right. Well, listen, you're the man when it comes to all these things, and I think the message is quite clear. There's a lot of medical conditions today that pregnant women are facing. And indeed, if you're thinking about getting pregnant and you have one of these medical conditions, you have to go see a guy like him or a gal like her or a female doctor. But the bottom line is see a high-risk obstetrician first in conjunction with your OBGYN and get the right counseling. Anyway, Doc, thank you for being here. You're the greatest. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Manny.
And if you have any health topics you want to talk to me about, email me here at Fox at drmanny@foxnews.com. Until next time, I'm Dr. Manny.